Okay, so I've mixed my first paint. I've decided to go with 2 to 1 base plus JoSonia. So we'll see how that goes. Don't need this really. Putting aside. Okay, so I've mixed up this orange. I'm going to show you a trick. I don't know if you can see all the little teeny bubbles. Where's the camera? There it is. There. But there's lots. And I've already gotten rid of the big ones. But if you literally take something larger and just give it a... I'm tapping this up. I'm not knocking this down. Up. It sends the bubbles to the surface. And the reason I know that is as a child, I really didn't like soda. And so I used to just tap my cup to get rid of a lot of the bubbles. It bothered me. So I'm going to leave this overnight, but as you can see, there aren't any large bubbles. I don't know if you can see or not. Maybe I need to pull that light over here. And I'm just learning how to do this recording thing. All respect to those who have done lots and lots of great videos with your nifty introductions and so on and so forth. This is hard. Yeah, the paint's falling off the outside of that. I like to use anything that's is a soft plastic, and I'll show you what I mean by that. I've learned that hard plastics, it's really hard to clean, but this soft, not crinkly plastic, it's really easy to get the paint off. But I still soak everything when I'm done at the end of the day, if I've used up the paint. So we'll put that aside. Let's mix the Phthalo Turquoise. This is a golden product. I love phthalo. The reason I love phthalos, and it's the same as Payne's Gray, is it makes so many colors or so many hues of the same color. So this turquoise phthalo will have is it tone? Tone, sorry. Well, hues and tones. So this one phthalo turquoise will be a dark turquoise, a light turquoise, medium, depending on how much it interacts with other paints. So I'm using 2 to 1 on the Glidden and JoSonia. Now Jodi at Painter's Dreamer uses 3 to 1, but again, I have this high altitude drying problem. And I think I've pretty much got it solved. But this is my first experiment with the Glidden. I hope it works because I have a gallon of this. Okay, and now some JoSonia. I'm going to wipe my finger off here on the wet one. Gloss varnish. Now I think you can also use min wax. I've got a gallon of that as well, but I'm going to try the JoSonia. I've got a bunch of it, so I'm going to be doing a lot of painting. I have found over the years that I've just purchased boatloads of stuff, and I just got to paint more. I'll be honest, last year threw me for a loop. A couple of heart conditions, nothing serious, but nonetheless, I'm 73. I live with an 11-year-old who cannot be vaccinated, even though we have pretty much separate living areas still. I don't want to be the one that gives it to her, to be honest with you. These make great little mixing spoons. So I'm going to mix up the combination before I add color. Now, why I'm making small amounts, I'm going to do some practicing on 6x6 squares. I'll show you those. Oh, it's pretty much the same viscosity as the base, or just a little bit thinner. And I don't know about you, but I've watched a gazillion YouTube videos. And I'm more interested in the swiping technique than the bloom, to be honest. It's more unique, but you know, it's all a challenge. And one thing I like about these two ingredients, there's no odor. And again, my 14-year-old dog who thinks he's still a puppy and who doesn't know his situation, I don't want him breathing metal dust and stuff. Okay, looks about right. Now, Glidden is ridiculously expensive, in my opinion. No offense, Glidden, great stuff. It only took 10 drops of the Pyrrole orange. It's a bit. Getting it open is always fun. Here we go. This is why you keep, I just keep a little cup nearby because there's always little bits of this and that be thrown away. And you don't want to get this on your gloves. It's really strong. So I'm going to try 5 drops because it's quite dark. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See what that does. See what I mean about different, how pretty that is? You've got your dark turquoise, your medium turquoise, your light turquoise, and that's why I like anything phthalo. You can literally take this and make 3 different tones, dark, medium, and light, and have a beautiful painting. Now, here's how you can tell if you've mixed it. You have to scrape the sides, obviously. Scrape your mixer. But you can look at the, I can't tip this over, but I can look at this and see that there's lots of white on the bottom. So I have some mixing to do. Let's see if the spoon does it. If it doesn't, or shovel, or whatever you want to call it, if it doesn't, I'll switch over to another mixer. I like to use plastic to mix with. Wood does not clean as well. Yeah, that's not gonna do a good enough job. I just got pigments for the first time. To be honest with you, I'm a little afraid. So I've figured out a way, don't laugh, to mix them so that we're not breathing them. I definitely don't want my dog to breathe them. Once the pigment enters your lung, it doesn't leave. It accumulates. The powder, I mean. So I took the screen out of one of my window well windows, and so I can literally mix my paint outside. Here, I want to show you how neat this works. Watch, see the bubbles? Lots of them. It's not all the way mixed yet, but just for fun. What's going to happen is these bubbles are going to turn into divots. So I'm just going to give that a whack on the bottom. See if you can see. I can't. No. One's persisting. And for some reason, banging it this way doesn't work as well as if I give it a good knock at the bottom. And they're gone. Not all gone. The little teeny ones, what would become pinholes are there. So this has to sit overnight. I can spend 4 days mixing paint and 1 day using it all up and making paint, like 6 paintings. Just the way it is. Which is kind of nice. It's very peaceful. I'm going to try this little skinny one and see if it works. I can see the pouring medium on the sides. Now basically what we're doing when we're mixing like this is we're immersing the pigments in this highly concentrated paint. But we have to, each of those pigment pieces, basically, teeny weenies, needs to mix in. And in order to know whether or not this recipe works, we have to make sure we've mixed the pigments in the pouring medium thoroughly. There's a little bit over here at the bottom. A little bit on this side. Scrape, 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 scrape. Now this will be a little bit darker when it dries. Isn't that a pretty color? That's golden turquoise phthalo. That's worth the money, in my opinion. I used 5 drops, and there are 118 mils in here. So 4 ounces. Still an investment. There's another test we'll do after I've mixed the paints. You want your paints to be pretty much the same viscosity. If one is heavier, it's going to slow down the movement of the others. Okay, I think that's good. A little bit right there. Oh, these cups, by the way, if I can find them, I'm going to buy some more. They're Diamond Daily. See that? Here we go. I like them because they come with a cover and they clean out really, 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 really easily. When I get into the painting mode, it's my hyper mode, I have a large tank of water over there, and I literally just toss things in. I don't take the time necessarily to do what I'm doing right now. I just find it easier to keep stir sticks clean. Okay, so let's get rid of those bubbles. And there you go, half of them. I don't know if you can see or not, but I need to be able to see. They're all gone, the big ones. Just have to wait for the others to immerse. And we'll cover that one. It's hard to clean the covers. They have little ridges, but they don't need to be perfect. Okay, Dioxin Purple. Anyone ever played with this? This can overtake a painting in a heartbeat. Be very careful with how much you make of that. I'm not going to make as much. Well, I will. I'll use it. It'll last a while. And I happen to have one that has a bunch on the outside already, so perfect. Here we go. One. 2. 'You know, and for those of you who have pets or small children, just know that when you use pigments and stuff, it's microscopic. It gets in the air just like dust, and it's not good. So, you know, I looked into ventilation, like the people who do nails. Pricey. But I did find something I'm going to experiment with. Maybe we'll do it with the dioxin. Why not? Sargent makes glitter glaze. So I just might try to make our Dioxin Purple into a glitter. Let's see what happens. I don't even know if I've opened this yet. Yep. So instead of JoSonia, this is an experiment, 100%. Why not? And this is the fun, for me, of fluid art. That's a little thicker than JoSonia. Maybe I should only do half of that. What other colors am I going to use? Red. Maybe I will save some of that. Yeah. Just making it up as we go. I'm going to do half glitter because this is about the same viscosity as the paint or the base. Just set that there. And half JoSonia. There we go. Lock that in. Well, folks, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Let's see if this gives us, well, it'll be sparkly. I don't know if it'll be metallic, but it'll definitely be sparkly. Oh, and that's definitely like a peacock glitter. It's beautiful. Gossamer glitter, all different colors. Those who know me know that I love cards with glitter. So all my birthday cards are glittery. And for those on a budget, glitter cards cost more. Those on a budget, you can take a plain card and rub it onto a glitter card and get a little bit of glitter. I don't know if that's ethical or not, but I was just curious once. That did work. Okay, I'm gonna put this aside and stir this before, I'm gonna use that thin one again. Stir this before I put the purple in. So I have a couple of options if I want. Dioxin Purple is really dark, which is good because we have a couple of medium tones there. And I will use, if I'm using a metallic and I want to make it lighter, I use a white pearl. I just happen to have a bunch of Deco Art white pearl that was on sale. Also, these little interference things are kind of cool, but I do this, I go literally out my window before I add that. So I don't want Jax to breathe it. He's such a good boy. He's just hanging on his little bed. He requires 3 or 4 chase the ball sessions. He's good for about 6 good runs, and then that's about it for him. Okay. So I'm just gonna keep stirring that. This is the key. The pouring medium's not mixed. It's not, then the color's not gonna mix well, is it? True, you could make a large thing of pouring medium, but I kind of like doing it this way. It seems about the same viscosity, doesn't it? Okay, let's add some, this is golden Dioxin Purple. Probably gonna have a few bits going on. I haven't used this in a while. Okay, say last year kind of threw me for a loop. I didn't paint as much. So a lot of my product is a little older. We'll find out if that's gonna be a problem. I doubt it with golden paint. And that's why this comes in really helpful. There's our bit out into our little teeny, always have one on hand. Doohickey, what's it? There's some there. If you don't watch out for the bits, they'll just find their way onto your painting, and that's frustrating, especially if it's in the middle of something you really like. So I use paper towel for this. Keeping it away from my paint. And let's add 5 and see what we have. 4, 5. Now remember, everything's gonna, wow, that's Dioxin Purple. It's some strong stuff. So pretty. I'm gonna add more. I want this to be darker. So I added 10 drops. Now there's a trick you can do. Now I don't know about Android, but I have an iPhone. And when you go into photo edit, there are 3 little, like a Venn diagram, gray circles. So if you go all the way down to mono and view them, you can tell whether or not you're going to have contrast in your pour or your bloom. And if you don't have a contrast color, it's pretty boring, in my opinion. You need a dark. That's 15 on this. This helps make the other colors pop. And we don't have any black or anything dark, so I'm going to add another 5. Now I doubt that I'll use all of this paint on one 6-inch square. I really want some contrast. Isn't that rich? So this has some sparkle in it, barely noticeable. It's time to scrape, scrape, mix, scrape, turn, scrape, turn, scrape. Now, as I might have mentioned in the beginning, I'm making this mostly for myself and for my family. I have a couple of grandchildren that are quite artistic and very interested in learning. And I really didn't have a setup until now that I felt comfortable bringing them in. I mean, we did a few things here and there, but literally I could spend a day now because I have 2 workstations. I'll pop a picture of my new studio at the end. Same room, new stuff, but everything that's on top of my tables right now is in a container, and all those containers will pop into my cupboards and drawers. Thank you, IKEA, for reducing your price. So let's take a look. That definitely pops. This is the like red and green, orange and purple definitely pop each other. I'm a little bit dyslexic. I can't even say the word. Dyslexic. Dyslexic. So I have a hard time remembering things like complementary, tertiary, and so on and so forth. I just don't sink in. Other than that, steel trap. That's why if you watch a lot of different artists and their tutorials on YouTube, you will get confused. Pick somebody, learn their technique, master that technique. Keep notes, video if you can. I wanted something that I could clamp my camera on at different heights. So I clamped this under $25 or $25 odd looking arm thing with joints and springs and so on and so forth. I think I bought it at Amazon, on Amazon. Very inexpensive, but I've clamped it to the top of my step ladder so I can move it out of the way when I'm not using it. I think that's dark enough. That's a lot of paint. And let's see, shall we get rid of some bubbles before we put it away? Yeah. I do wear gloves, especially with golden paints, and anytime you're using a varnish, unless you want to scrub the skin off your hands, it's pretty hard to get off. So that could be my finger. That could be under my fingernail, but it's not, so I'm happy. All right, let's give that a good whack. The more I'm looking at that, I'm wondering if it's too thick. Let's give it another test. I'm using a used one. This will just dye the stick. I think that's a titch thicker than the others. I'm gonna add just a titch of JoSonia to that. I can just tell by how it feels. Feels just a little bit heavier. That's another thing. If you do this often enough, you will get a feel for it. And if you're really a beginner, I highly recommend you go to Rinske, excuse me, R-I-N-S-K-E. Just go to YouTube, click on the search thingy icon, and type in and enter Rinske, R-I-N-S-K-E, and the next two words would be Dutch, D-U-T-C-H, pour, P-O-U-R. That's better. It's a really good place to start because you're not investing in a whole lot other than paint. She literally gets cells and beautiful results, pretty paintings that the whole world now refers to as Dutch pour. I think she's famous, and she's expecting, which is kind of cool. But that's a good place to start. All you need is distilled water, some cups. You can practice on just about anything. You don't have to buy canvases. You can get freezer paper. You know those canvas boards? They're covered in plastic. I've just poured onto the plastic and practiced my knife swipes and so on and so forth to see if it works. This here is called, I'll show it to you, mixed media paper. And I think it's like under $7. But you can literally practice strokes and things. I'll give you an example. I made up this mixture and I wasn't sure, I didn't know if it was going to make cells or not. So I just dumped on the base and some of the paint and gave it a swipe. So I was able to see that it did work. Also, before you do a painting, you want to make sure that your paints are close in viscosity by doing a drip test. So I highly recommend, for a beginner, one of these. And just mess around with all that. Unless you just have oodles of money and can spend a lot on canvases. Okay, I didn't make any notes on that, but I will make a note on the dioxin. I did a half teaspoon of Sargent Glitter Glaze. Now, one of the reasons that Rinske is able to get cells in lacing is because each color is a different weight. So if you swipe a light color, which it has what's called a low gravity, with a dark color like Mars Black, which is heavy gravity, you're going to get cells, even if you only use water. So you don't have to go through the silicone trip that most of us went through. And last but not least, I love this. I'm absolutely, totally in love. If you like a bright red, Pebeo Vermilion is amazing. I want to thank Nancy Wood for introducing me to that. So we already have our glitter in here. So I need to add a half teaspoon of JoSonia. We'll do that after I do my 2 teaspoons of, yeah, I'd rather do it this way, of paint, or I should say paint base. 1. I hope this turns out to be a paint base. Some paint bases, what a paint base is untinted. Almost all the cans of paint in the store are base paints. You choose your color, they grab a gallon, they throw your color in. Did I do 2? I think I did. Okay, we're not paying attention. I don't think I did. So base 3 is for darker colors. Base 2, medium, and base 1 is for lighter colors. And different YouTube tutorials, different artists use different things. Dreadfully confusing. So I decided just to go for low VOC. And not all paint bases are created equally in that regard. Now when you add your tints, then you're adding VOC. Okay, and we already have our glitter in there, so I'm gonna do a half teaspoon of JoSonia. And let's see what we get. I think I ended up adding more JoSonia last time, but different colors, different viscosities. Viscosity means thickness, and I'm sorry if that's being condescending to anyone. I had to look it up. It's not something I use in my everyday language, but it means how thick or thin something is. So whipped cream has a thicker viscosity than cream. Okay, that's done. I can put this aside. Make sure that's clean. Aren't these cute? My daughter gave me these, and I thought, oh, we all need a little bit of love these tough times, so they became my fave. And I'm liking this particular wood stick. Raise your hand if you're guilty of buying things on sale just because they're a great deal. I was at Michael's one day, and they had this ginormous bag of wooden stir things, which I won't be able to use in my life, but I have no lack of them. And yet I still wash them and reuse them. I'm all about repurposing, reusing limited resources on our planet, limited places to throw things away. Now, you probably can't see this, but there's just a little bit of a difference in tone. So I can tell that this isn't mixed. When it's well mixed, it'll be the same. There won't be any streaks in it. Metallics do have a little bit more of a streakiness to them. Oh, I want to share something with you while I'm doing this tedious task. I wanted to try Kathleen Miller's recipes. Okay, if you check out Kathleen Miller's channel, she and her husband video together. It's kind of cute. They just go back and forth and what have you. And all of her recipes, or did, I think she might have switched up lately, required color place. Yeah, that's too thick. Color place paint, which can only be purchased at Walmart. And I'm allergic to Walmart. I just walk in and I get a headache. I don't know if it's the lighting or what, but yeah. So I ventured in, couldn't find anybody to tell me where anything was. And then I saw 3 Walmart employees walking down the aisle, chit-chatting, so I interrupted them rudely Asked where the paint department was. They pointed to it. I went over there. There was nobody there. But I got my paint, and I just, in case, I bought 2 gallons of white, 1 of black, and I thought, well, gee, I'm at Walmart. I've always wanted a halo light because my lighting's terrible. I have canned lights, and all it does is shed shadows. Just a titch more, especially when I'm photographing. So I meandered around until I found a human and that worked there. Asked where it was. Of course, it's in the tech department. So I got this fantastic halo light that even has a place where I can plug in my iPhone. So my iPhone's on an arm hooked onto a 3-step ladder, and my charging cord is plugged into my phone and into my brand new halo light. So I have decent lighting. I'm really happy. Just want a little bit more. Now we're also using a tube paint, which is going to be thicker than Golden. So I might have to add some more JoSonia. In order to get your viscosity similar to the others, thin it down with the JoSonia in this particular style. Again, I am using information from Jodi. I'm just going to put 1 dollop in there. This stuff's intense. Get the rest back in the tube. Not terribly expensive. You know, when you're looking at deco art at Michael's or Hobby Lobby or wherever, it's, you know, they're over $2.50 for 2 ounces. So anything that you can buy that's less expensive than $2 an ounce is a good deal, but you want to make sure you buy quality pigments. The really inexpensive paints at Walmart aren't going to work well for you. There's just not enough pigment in them. Okay, another dollop. I want a bright red. We'll just do this gradually. That's pink. Which makes me wonder, I hope this base is really a base. One more dollop. I'm going to go with 2. It's been uncovered for a while. Okay, mix, 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 mix. And mix and mix and mix and mix and mix. This will darken when it's dry. I'm not getting red or vermilion. Thinking out loud, what shall I add? Golden Rouge, I think. I want red. This is Pyrrole Red by Glidden. And note to self, when using vermilion, make a small batch. I don't feel like hurting my thumb. Come on, yo. There we go. Take off the bit. Toss it away. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh yeah, there we go. We're getting there. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, I'm filming this for myself and for my family, so if you're still here, thank you. Oh, also, a lot of my videos are in silence. I have a little trick I use on red. I like to brighten it up. Just a couple of drops of yellow. And I want to wipe that off. Check my sides. Turn, swipe, scrape. Oh, that's pretty. There's a little bit of something there. So I'm going to grab my stick. Sometimes it'll just stick to that. Yep. Just take that off. Done. I'm going to check the bottom. Still some mixing. Still mixing to do. So I share my house with my daughter and her daughter and husband. And sometimes, everybody's working from home these days, it can be a little noisy. I cherish the noise. I lived alone for years. And as much as I enjoy my solitude, it's nice to hear the noise of my family. Now that's gonna darken up. Isn't that pretty? It's not quite what I was going for, but I like it. So let's take a look at that. Think that'll be nice. Do we need a brighter orange? No, I think that'll be pretty. Okay. It's also the cleaning ladies in, so I think they're talking loudly because they're not in the same room. It's never this noisy. There we are. So I invite you also, I don't know if it's an age thing. I've always been sensitive though. I am very sound sensitive. So when I'm watching someone else's video, if they're not talking, if it's music, I turn it off and listen to something that I like David Pyrrole doing Gayatri mantra or something. So I invite you and these, if you happen to tune in to these long labored videos I'm making, to turn the sound off and listen to something that you like. Okay, see how all those big bubbles are gone? I'll tap that a few more times throughout the day, just on my to-do list. But it really helps. There, you can see some more coming to the surface. Give it another tap. They're gone. That's the red. So orange, blue, purple, red. Red shimmer. So let's see. I'm going to take this outside and add some red shimmer to it, but not right now. I'll just put it over there so I'll remember. Okay, that's it. So now, this is when I would take the covers off. Right, and we know that one of the colors is white, so that's a given. And I'll take a picture, go to edit, hit on the Venn diagram of the three gray circles, and make sure that I have some contrast. I'm pretty sure this is darker, but it's very surprising, especially when you're using metallics. It's very surprising. I'm going to guess that this is the second darkest, and this is a toss-up. Maybe I'll take a picture and add it at the end. So that's pretty much my mixing for today on these colors. Thanks for tuning in, and tomorrow we'll find out if it worked. Thank you.